SpongeBob SquarePants Mysteries Stage Fright. Chapter 12. Our next move was as plain as a Krabby Patty without lettuce, cheese, onions, tomatoes, ketchup, mustard, and pickles in that order. We had to question Angela Angelfish. She'd been the target of the latest attack, and she'd been right on top of the monster puppet when it went haywire. But we had to be gentle. She was as shook up as a cupcake on the roller coaster at Glove World. Angela led SpongeBob and Sandy into an empty dressing room. She sat at her assigned spot in front of a mirror with round white light bulbs around it. The lights were meant to be as bright as the lights on stage so the actors could put on the proper amount of makeup for their expressions to be seen by the audience. A piece of masking tape with her name written on it was stuck over the makeup mirror. A small case on the counter held lipstick, brushes, mascara, eyeliner, all the tools Angela needed to prepare her face for a performance in front of a full house. Right now, the round bulbs were turned off, so the dressing room was dimly lit. SpongeBob turned a chair toward Angela and sat down. Sandy did the same. First of all, SpongeBob said, smiling a friendly smile, congratulations on being cast in this show! You're wonderful as the fair maiden! Angela blushed, looking down at the floor. Oh, thank you. I'm trying my best. And your best is mighty fine, Sandy enthused. You sing prettier than a meadowlark in spring. I don't know what that is, Angela said shyly, but thank you. SpongeBob liked Angela Angelfish. For an actor with a leading role in Bikini Bottom's hottest show, she was humble and sweet. He really hated to see anyone try to hurt her. So, what do you think happened with the monster puppet? He asked. Could you see anything different about it? Anything that looked strange? Shaking her head slowly, Angela said, No, I don't think so. It looked just like it always does. She smiled a little. Scary. Did you hear anything different? Sandy asked. No, Angela said, but I was, screaming. And you didn't see anyone messing around with the beast anytime before the rehearsal? SpongeBob asked. Or with the remote control? No, sorry, Angela apologized. When I'm not rehearsing, I've got my head buried in the script or the musical score, making sure I know all my lines in my songs. She patted her copy of the script and the music. I don't want to make any mistakes. Being in the show means an awful lot to me. It's my first big break. Do y'all have any enemies? Sandy asked. Enemies? Yeah, anyone who'd be happy if your show was canceled, SpongeBob explained. Take your time. Think about it. Angela thought about it, scratching her head. I really can't think of anyone. Everyone I know, my family, my friends, they're all so thrilled that I got this part. And they know how excited I am about being in the musical. They'd all be devastated if the show were canceled just like I would. So you can't think of anyone who's unhappy about you being in the show? Sandy pressed. Smiling, Angela said, Well, my boyfriend's not too thrilled. He wishes I weren't so busy with rehearsals, but James would never hurt me. Nodding, SpongeBob stood up. Okay, well, thanks for talking to us. He thought maybe he should give Angela a reason for asking her all these questions, just in case she started wondering what was going on. If she talked to other cast members about the interview, someone might get suspicious and blow their cover. As head cleaner and head electrician, we just want what's best for the theater and for everyone to be safe. If you think of anything else, please tell us. He started out of the dressing room. Sandy got up and followed him, then turned back. Oh, I almost forgot. She dug out a pen and a pad of paper. Could you write down your name, height, and hair color for me? What for? Angela asked, puzzled. So I can make sure you're lit just right, Sandy said. Oh, okay. She took the pad and pen and started writing. Then she looked up. Should I put down my hair color or the color of the wig I'll be wearing? The wig, Sandy said. That's what I'll be lighting once the show opens. Right, Angela said, resuming her writing. When she finished, she handed the pen and pad back to Sandy with a smile. Hope that helps. It sure does. Sandy scanned the pad. Looks like it's all in apple pie order. Thanks. You're welcome, Angela said sweetly. When they were out of the dressing room, SpongeBob whispered to Sandy, "What was that all about? Why do you want her height and hair color?" "I don't," Sandy whispered back. "I want some solid evidence to analyze, a sample of her handwriting." SpongeBob got it. "To compare to the handwriting on the note you found." "Bingo," Sandy said. "We need to get some handwriting samples from everyone in the cast." They stopped just short of the stage where Dorado was still rehearsing the Fair Maiden and the Monster number. About his Fair Maiden and huddled for a quick conference. "How are we supposed to get everyone to give us handwriting samples?" SpongeBob asked. "I don't think the director will like it. We're just supposed to be the head cleaner and the head electrician." Sandy smiled. "I thought about that. We'll use the same excuse I used with Angela, and we need their height and hair color for me to hang the lights right. The actors won't question it. They love signing their names and giving information about themselves, and being lit just right." SpongeBob wasn't sure about this. "I still think Martin Dorado won't go along with us stopping his rehearsal to have everybody fill out information forms." "I thought about that too," Sandy said. "We'll just get someone to distract Dorado for a few minutes." "Good idea," SpongeBob agreed. "But who?" He thought for a moment and smiled. The musical conductor!" Square was up in a cramped rehearsal room putting the musicians through their paces while the cast worked on stage with just the piano player to accompany their singing. He tapped his music stand with his baton. Clack, 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 clack. "All right, everyone, let's take it again from bar 147. This time with more cannibalo." He could have just said give it more of a singing quality, but he liked throwing in Italian musical terms whenever possible to show the instrumentalists he was a professional. "Eyes on me. Ready? And..." He raised his baton. "Squidward!" SpongeBob called from the door to the crowded little room. Startled, Squidward jerked forward, dropping his baton. The musicians played a jarring blast of notes and went silent. "Oh, SpongeBob!" Squidward said, annoyed. "What are you doing here? This is a close rehearsal." He got down on the floor, searching for his baton. "Sandy and I are proceeding with that certain task we discussed back at the Krusty Krab, remember? The thing that Mr. Krabs ordered me to do?" SpongeBob said, trying to discreetly remind Squidward of their investigation without giving it away to all the musicians. He didn't want anyone besides Mr. Krabs, Squidward, Pearl, and Patrick to know he was in detective mode. Besides, keeping the investigation a secret from Martin Dorado, it seemed smart not to let the culprit know they were trying to chase him or her down. "Oh, right," Squidward said, standing up with his baton. "Well, get on with it and let me rehearse." He started to lift his baton again, but SpongeBob interrupted. "Can we possibly speak to you for a second?" "It's important," Sandy added. Squidward sighed. He really hated having his rehearsal interrupted, but he also wanted someone to find out who was trying to ruin the show and stop him or her. "Fine," he grumbled. Addressing the musicians, he announced, "Take 5, and I mean 5, not 6, not 5.5, 5! The musicians rushed out of the confined space of the rehearsal room, brushing past SpongeBob and Sandy. Most of them headed straight for their instrument cases where they'd hidden their favorite snacks and beverages. Squidward emerged out. "What is it? Make it snappy!" He snapped his fingers impatiently. SpongeBob got right to the point. "We need you to distract Martin Dorado." Looking nervous, Squidward said, But, I don't want to waste the director's valuable time. He hates that. I could get in trouble. He could fire me." "He's not going to fire you just for asking him a couple of questions," Sandy scoffed. "All you've got to do is get him away from the cast for a few minutes. Leave the rest to us. Score considered possibilities. Actually, I do have a few matters to consult him with regarding orchestral tempi and dynamics. I was also thinking of adding another clarinet solo or two. Pushing him from behind, SpongeBob said, "Sound perfect! Go!" Oh. Stay tuned for chapter 13 coming up soon.